Thank you for clicking on the YouTube channel, Nerds in the Hood. Sup YouTube, it's your homie, Rex the T-Rex, and today we will be doing a Let's Talk on the 1978 film, Superman, the movie. The cast for the film is, this movie stars Christopher Reeves as the Man of Steel himself, Superman. We got Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, and Marlon Brando as Jor-El. This film was directed by Richard Donner. The movie opens in black and white. You get a theater curtain that slowly opens up, and a film that starts to play that shows a comic book. This comic book is open and a child reads from it. And what this does is it sets up the year that the movie starts in, Metropolis, the city itself, and it also manages to set up the Daily Planet without missing a beat. Then we are shot into space as we go through the opening credits in a beautiful visual journey that ends us up on Krypton, where we come in just as General Zod is being condemned with his crew for the actions that they have taken that were unjust and wrong. From there, Jor-El tries to convince the Council of Krypton that Krypton is about to go boom. They don't believe him. They silence him. So we jump to the next scene, which is Jor-El and his wife getting ready to send a newborn Kal-El off a planet. After placing the last crystal in the ship, they send him towards Earth. On a 3-year journey to Earth, the ship teaches Kal-El, and we get to see Kal-El even grow a little. The ship is then shown crash landing into a cornfield that just so happens that Ma and Pa Kent were near. They find little Kal-El, they take him home and raise him to be American and proud. From there we jump to Clark in high school, where he is the towel boy for his football team. He gets bullied by the football players, but then, to be a little bit smug and because he knows he can, he runs home at super fast pace, which we get this cool ass scene where we get to see him race a train, which this is one thing this movie does beautifully, is showing him and how powerful he is. From there, he makes it home before the football guys that were making fun of him managed to make it past his house, in which they're stumped by how he was able to do it. This leads to Paul Kent having a conversation with Clark, and then Clark and Paul Kent try to play around a little bit, and that leads to Paul Kent having a heart attack and passing away. We then jump to the funeral, where Clark starts to hear the hum of the crystal that his dad had pulled from the ship, and it turns out that it's hidden in the barn on the Kent's farm. From here, Clark informs Ma Kent that he has to leave and travel north. I'm guessing he ends up at the North Pole because he travels and then there's a bunch of snow. He might be in Canada somewhere. I don't know. He might be way the hell up in the top of Canada. But anyways, he goes to where he's going to build his Fortress of Solitude. And he tosses the crystal in, and the Fortress of Solitude grows out of the ground, which is pretty cool. Once inside, he gets a chance to talk to the consciousness of Jor-El, who teaches him about Krypton and everything he needs to know, while setting him up to be the superhero that he will be. From here, when we come back to Earth, we are told that we get a 12-year jump in time, in which case we get our first look at Christopher Reeves in the Superman suit and flying. Really great scene. From there, we jump to Metropolis and the Daily Planet, where Clark is getting a job. He meets Lois, Jimmy, of course he meets Perry White and everybody else. We get to see Clark as the Boy Scout, the perfect gentleman, the everyman's good guy. We also get to see that as Clark, he tends to be a bit clumsy, but that helps with his disguise. We get a scene where Clark and Lois get robbed, and in the confusion, Clark is able to catch a bullet and pretends to faint. From there, we are introduced to Lex Luthor's retarded henchman, Otis, who's being followed by the cops. Once Otis gets back to their hideout, which turns out to be inside of a train tunnel somewhere under the city, the cop that's following him is killed in a way that's made to look like an accident, which we're shown that Lex Luthor does not fuck around in this movie. But from there, we actually finally get to see Lex Luthor and meet Miss Teschmacher. From there, we go back to the Daily Planet as Lois is boarding a helicopter, only to have it damn near crash back into the roof as it takes off thanks to this cable that gets loose and snaps and wraps around the end of the helicopter. But luckily for her, Superman saves her and the helicopter at the same time, catching that out of midair with one hand, which is cool as shit, and manages to put them back safely down. From there, we get to see some amazing shots of just Superman flying. Then we jump to Superman being a superhero by stopping a thief and delivering said thief to the cops. He stops some criminals who were in a high-speed chase with the cops. He even saves a little girl's cat from a tree and prevents a plane from crashing. We jump back to Perry White wanting the info and picture of Superman and an interview with him as well. Lois gets an invitation in this scene to meet with Superman, and that's what she ends up doing. Once Lois gets her interview with Superman, Superman then takes her flying. We get some great shots of the flying too that have them flying past buildings. They fly around the Statue of Liberty even, which is really cool. Then we jump to Lex Luthor becoming completely obsessed with Superman once the interview's published. And we also find out that Kryptonite has been on Earth for some shit, and that somehow Earth knows about Krypton and Kryptonian weakness. But it's a comic book movie, so if there's some far-fetched shit, it's par for the course at this point. From there, Luthor decides that he's going to have 2 missiles reprogrammed to go where he wants them to go. And once he gets them reprogrammed in a bit of entertainment because he sends the retard to do it first and then has to get Miss Teschmacher to fix it, we get this scene where Lex sends a message to Superman on the same frequency as a dog whistle, so that only Superman and dogs can hear it, which is kind of weird that he knows so much about Superman so fast, but that's cool. Superman then finds Lex Luthor, and we get our first meeting where Superman and Lex are face to face. The movie jumps to California from here before we get too much into detail to show you that Lois and Jimmy are there for an interview, which will be important in a little bit. Then we swap back to Luthor, who explains his get-rich-quick scheme, and we see Superman find out he has a weakness at this point, too, to kryptonite. Once Luthor hangs the kryptonite around Superman's neck because he's done attached it to a chain, he takes Superman over to his pool and shoves him in the pool with the attempts to hopefully drown Superman. That's when Luthor decides that he's going to set off his 2 rockets. While this is going on, Miss Teschmacher decides she wants to have a change of heart and save Superman. She also kissed Superman while he's weakened, and it kind of freaks Superman the fuck out, like, why the hell would you do that? But anyways, from here, once Superman gets the kryptonite chain off of him, the chain that the kryptonite's attached to, we see him actually manage to stop one of the rockets. But unfortunately, the second rocket hits the fault line in California, which in some very comic booky ass way, Superman then fixes the fault line. And once he's done fixed the fault line, he saves some people from the aftermath of the fault line crumbling and almost half of California almost falling into the sea. We then get Superman finally realizing that he needs to save Lois Lane again. But this time it's too late. And yet again, in the most comic booky fashion I could possibly imagine, we get one of the most comic booky solutions I've ever seen in a film. And that is Superman reverses Earth's rotation, which allows time to rewind and makes it possible for Superman to save Lois, which I find it really, really cool how they did it, because they have him fly around the Earth. You see the Earth rotate in the opposite direction, and then because, got to make it make sense, we actually get to see Superman fix the rotation and get the Earth rotating back the way it's supposed to, at the speed it's supposed to, before he goes off and finally is able to save Lois Lane. From here, we get to see Superman, after saving the day, go and pick up both Lex Luthor and Otis the Retard and take them and deliver them directly to prison. We got a really good movie with this one. And realistically, yeah, it's very comic booky. It really is. It's extremely comic booky. The plot's comic booky. The way things worked out are comic booky as hell. And it's why this movie is not only my favorite when it comes to the Superman films, it also shows that this movie is one of those films that can stand the test of time. It's amazing still to this day. The effects in this movie are just phenomenal. The directing in this film is amazing. The entire cast did great with this role. Hell, Christopher Reeve seriously found a way to embody every aspect of Superman without weakening the character or showing the character any disrespect. And he did amazing at his role as Superman. And the ones that I've seen, which I will let you know, so far I've only seen the first two, but I now own all four of the original Christopher Reeves films, and we'll be doing Let's Talks on all those as well. And for the second one, I will not be doing Let's Talk on the original version of the film. It will be the Richard Donner version of the film. But back to this movie. We get a great Superman movie that is, the character is respected by everybody involved, and you can tell the character. Yeah, some of the things in the movie are a little bit goofy, and yeah, the movie it's not really extremely dark and gritty, but it didn't need to be, because the story that they were telling was light and vibrant even, and really comic booky. The one other thing that I love about this movie is that it made sure to keep Superman's motto, you know, that one, the one we all love in America: truth, justice, and the American way. Because that's the only version of that will ever matter. Because that's the canon. You can change it all day, and you can try to de-Americanize Superman. But here's the problem with that. Superman's a white man who wears red and blue. He's the fucking American flag. Superman has a giant S on his chest, which literally 1/3 of the USA initials. His slogan is truth, justice, and the American way. Why? Because these comic book characters were made in America back in a time when people were proud to be an American. When people remembered that beautiful flag that we all see fly high and beautiful was something that meant something. People remembered that soldiers died for that flag and for our rights. And that's one of the things that will keep this film in the forefront of Superman films, is because this is probably the closest we will ever get to having a golden silver age Superman movie that actually fits the era of not only when the film came out in real life, but the era that they pulled from. And they show so much respect to the source material that they try to do it justice, even with the minute amount of changes that they made. And this is something, this film right here should be studied by every person who wants to do comic book movies, because it's not about the corniness. It's not about what Christopher Reeves did with the character. It's about the amount of respect that these people had for this character. And you just don't see that anymore today. People don't understand that as time changes, characters change. And yeah, even though the character has changed in the comic book and has been played more seriously in more recent years, there's a reason. When you get rid of the camp and you bring Superman down and actually make him serious, you can get some really interesting character growth with the character in that way. But this film, it wasn't about growing the character. It was about telling you a story within the Superman mythos that respected the source material. And that's one of the reasons I love this movie. It is an amazing Superman film, and it is one of the best Superman films I've ever seen. And it will always have a special place for me because I love watching this movie. I love it. Every minute of it. It's something special that you won't never get again, because as we get further and further away from it, and the more and more muddled the idea of what a hero is becomes, we'll never be able to truly get back to the point where Hollywood or anybody in it is able to even understand what being a superhero means or even is anymore. Because it's more than just saving people. It's more than just stopping world-ending events. It's very layered with so much depth. And that's what DC's known for, are these very extremely layered characters that have amazing amounts of depth to them. And that's why the Superman movie will always be better than most of the others. If you liked the video, please click the thumbs up. If you disagree or agree with me, please leave a comment. And if you really want to see more of me, please hit that subscribe button.